Welcome to the series on the Yoga Sutras. We'll be walking through the sutras, 1, 2, or 3 sutras at a time in little paragraphs or couplets so that you can understand how they are in relationship with each other and what are the stepping stones of the Yoga Sutras to support us in our path of awakening through yoga. In each session, we'll be doing a little chanting of the sutra. We'll understand the words of the sutra. I'll give you a translation, a little bit of commentary, and most of all, the direct practice of understanding the sutras as they apply to you in contemporary life, even though they are thousands of years old. Thank you for being here. Let's go to class. Please join your hands together at your heart. Yogena cittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaijakena yopakarotam pravaram munina Patanjalim pranjaliranatosmu Yogena cittasya padena vacha Malam sharirasya cha vaijakena Yopakarotam pravaram munina Patanjali pranjaliranatos Yogena cittasya padena vacha Malam sharirasya cha vaijakena Yopakarotam pravaram munina Patanjalim pranjaliranatos You may bow your head to your heart. Release your hands. Welcome to our Yoga Sutra discussion. I'm glad to see you here. We'll begin with Yoga Sutras 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 as a place of like parentheses around those 3 sutras. The sutras are meant to be in little pairings or little groups or couplets so we can understand the flow of the conversation. Patanjali granted us the yoga for the serenity of our minds and understanding of grammar for the purity of our speech. Vacha, when we say vacha, means the speech. He also granted us medicine for the physical body, for the well-being of the body. So if the body is well enough and our speech is purified or clear, our ability to then study yoga and the Yoga Sutras is going to be expedited or more easeful. If we're studying yoga and we're not tending to our speech or our communication, we are probably making it more difficult in our daily life. And as we come back to yoga, we have more to clean up in the residue of the body. If we are also not living according to the medicinal needs of the body or the nourishment that our body needs, maybe either in excess or in deficiency, or choosing foods that are not aligned with us or our digestion nor our dosha nor the season, then again we're going to have a residue in the body that we have to overcome as we're practicing yoga. So Patanjali offered the yoga for the clarity and the serenity, the sthitau of the mind, and then a text on grammar for us to purify our speech. And the Yoga Sutras are a very simple text. The words are clear and laid out. However, there's no extra words at all. It's been simplified down. You might think of it as a concentrated little phrase. Atta yoga nusasanam, a little phrase that means a lot. So if we have one tiny phrase that has a lot of depth of meaning. We want to understand that meaning, and the yoga practice helps us to clear our minds, to understand the meaning of the sutra, and to learn about his relationship with grammar and his suggestion for how we clean up or purify our speech. If our body is also well enough, just enough does not need to be perfect, but we are eating according to our needs, we are practicing the medicine according to our lifestyle and our symptoms, and we're improving access to our vitality, the understanding of the Yoga Sutras comes more easily to us. So the first Yoga Sutra is telling us, and now yoga is going to begin. Now the discussion of yoga shall begin. The word atta means now. It implies that we've been preparing for some time. Perhaps you can imagine that we moved from our home in an urban setting, we packed a bag, we got some things together, and in that bag are many, many life experiences, both those that have been resolved and those that have not been resolved. And we placed that in our knapsack. We've gone on a hike up a mountain. We're going to explore the yoga. And as we're hiking up, it's relatively vigorous. We can feel ourselves breathing, our footsteps on the mountain path, carrying the weight of the things that we have carried in our minds and hearts and bodies. And we get to this place, let's call it like a campsite or a place of study, a place that we're going to be landing for a time. And we say, okay, atta, now, in all that preparation, here we are for the auspicious and fruitful journey of yoga to come from here. So atta represents that now, that arriving at this conversation. So in the word atta, we also have 3 letters that represent the 3 forms of the guru, the building blocks of the guru chakra, the chakra that lies between the 6th and the 7th chakra. And those 3 forms are a, ka, and ta. So we say atta. Atta, yoga. And yoga means union. As you know, the harmonious state of interbeing, the union that we experience with everything and everyone, and all that has been and all that will be. Atta yoga anushasanam. And so anu means that which is following, that which is coming in a sentence. It's that which is now moving into shasanam, which means this kind of discipline or discussion, this establishing of a practice. So we're going to do this chant several times. We'll do 1 word at a time, and then we'll do the line, and we'll just repeat it. I'll sing it in call and response format, and you can chant at the pace that is comfortable for you. So rest your hands in your lap. You're welcome to close your eyes. Atta, 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 yoga, 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 anushasanam, 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 anushasanam. Atta yoga anushasanam. Atta yoga anushasanam. Atta yoga anushasanam. Atta yoga anushasanam. Imagine yourself having taken your seat. And now, after all that you've carried and all that you've been through, all of the preparations, including Sukha and Dukkha, easeful and suffering, all the experiences, and now you are prepared for the discussion of yoga. The second Yoga Sutra defines yoga. He takes the time to define, okay, what is yoga? And we learn that yoga's chitta, vritti, nirodha. So the word yoga, meaning union or that state of harmony with all things, has the capacity or is the experience of the chitta, vritti, nirodha. So that is the mind, the chitta, the mind stuff, the mind factory, as it were. The vrittis, the fluctuations of that mind stuff, chitta, vritti, nirodha, it has come to an end. It has ceased. It has dissolved. So on a regular basis, students ask me, is it really possible to blank the mind? And do I need to blank my mind in order to experience yoga? In order to meditate, do I have to have emptiness of all thoughts? The answer is no. We don't need to wait for all of that cessation in order to explore meditation and yoga. However, if we define this yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha, the word nirodha means to cease, to restrict. We could define it as dissolving, abating, reconciling. It's all settled. It's not pulling our attention. It's not as captivating. There may still be some mental mumbo jumbo in the background, but it's as if it were a radio in a far off room in a different language that has no ability to compel us into action. So yoga, harmony, chitta, vritti, the mind stuff fluctuating comes to cease. Yoga, 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 chitta, 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 vritti, 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 nirodha, 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 nirodha. Yogas chitta vritti nirodha. Yogas chitta vritti nirodha. Yogas chitta vritti nirodha. Yogas chitta vritti nirodha. In the third Yoga Sutra, we hear this little couplet of sutras completed. We hear tada, which means standing in or now, then what happens is tada drastu svarupe avastanam. And then the experience of yoga overcomes us, and the seer, the drastu, rests, avastanam, is established in its true nature, svarupe, which means its blissful nature, its luminous nature. So then, standing in or established in avastanam, the seer, drastu, which is you, is resting in svarupe, in blissful luminosity. And we can understand that that comes to us when the chitta vrittis have dissolved, when they have quieted down. Then we are resting in our true nature. We are like the mirror lake on which we can see the trees nearby. We see the sky in the reflection of the lake. We see the birds passing overhead. We see the moon of the night sky on the lake. And we are seeing all of that clearly. When the fluctuations dissolve, the water becomes reflective and clear. We are able to see our true nature. That mirror-like experience of consciousness is then reflected from us and shining through us. So we say, tada, 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 drastu, 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 svarupe, 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 avastanam, 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 tada drastu svarupe avastanam, tada drastu svarupe avastanam, tada drastu svarupe avastanam, tada drastu svarupe avastanam. So imagine your mind like the mirror of the lake. The lake neither feels disturbed by the passing of birds, nor does it personalize the reflection of the moon on the surface of its water. It reflects everything back equally and unconditionally. Now, reflecting on these teachings, I'd like to know what questions come for you, or what inspirations or observations might come. I have a couple of inspirations here. They're both fuzzy kittens. Come on, it's okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so what questions, observations, insights come to you? Here's my teacher. Tada drastu svarupe vastar. And then he becomes established in his blissful nature. So what is on your mind? The translation. Can I reshare the translation of avastanam? Yeah. Tada drastu svarupe vastanam. So So when the words svarupe and avastanam are put together, they merge on that one vowel. Avastana means to be established or to be stabilized. So you're resting in that. You are established. You have come to sit down at our camp place on the mountain. Now the yoga begins. Yoga is when our minds are quiet, when the mind is reflective, and then we are established in. Then tada, we are established avastanam in svarupe, our blissful nature, and we are the drastu, the seer. So you might say, Atta yoga nusasanam yogas chitta vritti nirodha para drastu svarupe vastana. And of course, we find this unbelievable and incomprehensible at first. When we start practicing yoga, we come with a relatively busy mind for most people. We find it inconceivable that the mind is going to quiet down. And we might even say, therefore, I'll never be able to experience yoga. I won't be able to meditate. And that would be unfortunate to turn away at that point, because we're really just being told about the gem that yoga can be. And Patanjali begins here so that we understand what we're committing to. Committing to leaving behind the noise of the humdrum of daily life, that which is extracurricular and non-essential and inauspicious, apunya, not very helpful to us. We've carried our knapsack with some stuff, all that preparation, enough punya, enough suffering, dukkha, that we're interested in resolving that suffering and understanding how we can. We climb up a mountain to a landing place for the discussion of yoga. And so it's not reserved just for people who've had no suffering or who've had only auspicious experiences in life. In fact, we might not be prepared for yoga if we didn't have the experience of suffering. We may not have the curiosity of the mind. That is a big component of studying yoga. Is, can I be curious about the nature of the mind, the quality of my mind? So having had some suffering, having had some pain, dukkha, and the difficulties of that, having had some tamas, some darkness, some heaviness, having had some rajas, some anxiety, some busyness, some overwhelm. We've come to the end of our interest in that, or at least temporarily. Often it's temporary at first. We've temporarily become uncomfortable enough that we want to do some yoga, right? That temporary discomfort takes us to yoga, and then we might go back to the bhoga. Bhoga means indulging in the pleasures of life. And sometimes we have to learn again and again that too much bhoga means a lot less yoga. Too much bhoga, much less yoga. So we come again and again and again. And when we climb this mountain now to rest here for the Yoga Sutras, we say, Atta yoga nusasanam. Now the yoga is going to begin. Now we can discuss it. Patanjali says, like, welcome. Okay, now we can have the discussion. I've seen you having your cycles of sukha and raga. So you have ease, you want more of it. Raga, more clinging, more desire, more of that, please. But wanting more leads to suffering because we're clinging to that which we want more of. Now we have sukha to raga, wanting more. Oh, now dukkha. Now we're unhappy. We're having dukkha because we can't make it last. And then we have dvesha, aversion. Now we don't want the experience that we're having. We want more sukha. We can end up in a cycle, an inauspicious cycle like this, that is moving us away from our dharma, the experience of resting in wisdom. So he says now here at the first sutra, welcome, you've had enough of the cycle, enough of the samsaras and the samskaras, so now you're here. There's a big component in yoga of surrender then. Now we're here. We surrender to hear these phrases, these short sutras that will thread together the experience of the mind in liberation and freedom. So Maya said, okay, I'm feeling into the clarity of the lake to reflect the moon. though it doesn't become the moon. And also sitting with, yet they are intimately connected, one. I feel enthusiastic for these teachings and inspired to begin a reflections journal after class. Thank you for offering the teachings. You're most welcome. Yeah. And Muna says, my reflection is that at such times my feelings and experience has been in sensing more resistance and pain in yoga as the kleshas are playing out in full spectrum. At the same time, yoga is pushing through, it's coming through as something is about to break through big time. Just a feeling. Yeah. So the kleshas we'll discuss in the Yoga Sutras, those are the causes of suffering, the causes of dukkha. Blessedly, yoga is more powerful than all of that, and it can shine through even in a very dense kaleidoscope. Even if the kaleidoscope is full of pieces of suffering or kleshas, the light that can get through to the eye, we start to see those kleshas or those experiences of suffering, and we can ultimately free ourselves, not by dismantling every klesha right away, but by seeing the light that is coming through the kaleidoscope of the mind. And that light is what's pointing us to Svarupe, our indwelling nature. So we start by reflecting on that light, not by mechanically or scientifically examining every one of our thoughts that might seem like a problematic thought. That would be as if trying to get each gopher hole in the backyard instead of understanding the nature of gophers. We want to understand the nature of the mind. Let's close with a few moments of quiet, and we'll chant the Om Shanti as we finish our session today. Take a comfortable seat, please. And let's consider how we can become more mirror-like the surface of the water. And raise your hands to your heart. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you very much, everyone. Namaste. Thank you for sharing your practice with me. If it was helpful to you, please click the like button. That gives me good feedback. If you've not yet subscribed to the channel, please do that as well. It's also valuable feedback and helps us to grow the channel to send these teachings out to more people who would find them to be helpful in their lives. And right now, humanity is in crisis. And so turning back to timeless teachings that have worked for thousands of years can be very beneficial to the whole of humanity. So please help us in spreading the word and the teachings from yoga and the Yoga Sutras by clicking subscribe and like. And if you have any questions about the practice, please leave those for me down below in the comment section. See you for the next visit. Namaste.